It was a chilly autumn evening in Chicago, and the golden light of the setting sun reflected off the glass towers of downtown. Inside the grand lobby of Harrington Enterprises, the usual hum of business was shattered by a sudden, piercing cry. A small girl, no older than 7, with curly brown hair bouncing as she ran, burst through the double doors, her tiny shoes clicking against the marble floor. "They beat my mom, she's dying," she screamed, her voice raw with fear and desperation. People froze in shock, unsure what to do or how to respond to the frantic child. The little girl's tears streaked down her cheeks as she darted between the stunned employees. Security guards reached for their radios but hesitated, overwhelmed by the urgency of the moment. Office workers, used to the calm professionalism of their corporate environment, were paralyzed. The girl's words echoed through the high-ceilinged lobby, carrying a weight that made even the most composed adults shiver. No one had seen her like this before. Everyone knew she was the CEO's daughter, a sweet and curious child, but now she was a whirlwind of panic, running towards someone who could help. At the far corner, unnoticed by most, a janitor was quietly finishing his work. Mr. Daniels, a man in his late 50s, moved with a calm, methodical rhythm as he pushed his mop across the gleaming floors. When the girl ran straight toward him, his experienced eyes immediately assessed the situation. Without a word of hesitation, he dropped his mop, crouched down to her level, and gently took her small hands in his. "It's okay, sweetie," he said in a calm, soothing voice. "Tell me exactly what happened. We'll fix this together." His tone had an authority that seemed out of place for a janitor, yet it radiated reassurance. Through sobs and hiccups, the girl described the horrific scene. Her mother, Lydia Harrington, had been attacked by masked intruders near their home. The details were disjointed, chaotic, and terrifying. Mr. Daniels listened carefully, maintaining steady eye contact, all while quietly instructing her to breathe deeply. Then, as if switching roles, he pulled out his phone and called emergency services. But the people nearby were stunned not by the act itself, but by his precision. He spoke clearly, giving step-by-step instructions, guiding paramedics, coordinating routes, and ensuring help would arrive as fast as possible. Employees began to gather around, watching in amazement. The lobby, moments ago filled with panic and confusion, seemed to settle as Mr. Daniels' calm presence dominated the space. The little girl clung to him, her fear gradually easing under his steady hands. It became clear that this was no ordinary janitor. His movements, his words, and his confidence suggested experience far beyond what anyone had imagined. In that tense, surreal moment, Mr. Daniels became the center of hope, the anchor in a storm of chaos that could have easily spiraled out of control. By the time the first responders arrived, Mr. Daniels had already taken control of the situation. He knelt beside Lydia Harrington, assessing her injuries with calm precision. Her face was pale and her breathing was shallow, but he applied pressure where it was needed, kept her conscious, and encouraged her to stay calm. Around them, employees watched in stunned silence, realizing that this quiet janitor was doing what no one else could. His hands moved efficiently, his voice steady, giving instructions and reassurance that seemed impossible for someone in his ordinary uniform. It was a display of skill and courage that no one expected. The little girl clung to Mr. Daniels' leg, her sobs gradually softening as she watched him work. "You're helping her, aren't you?" she asked, her voice trembling. He nodded without looking up. "I promise she's going to be okay. Just stay calm and with me." The lobby, once filled with confusion and fear, now felt oddly safe. The juxtaposition of chaos outside and Mr. Daniels' composed authority inside left everyone awestruck. Even the security guards, who were trained to act in emergencies, stood quietly, realizing that their efforts were being guided by someone who knew exactly what to do. When the paramedics finally arrived, Mr. Daniels provided a precise briefing, detailing her condition, the time of the attack, and the steps he had already taken. Lydia was carefully lifted onto a stretcher, stabilized enough to survive the trip to the hospital. Her eyes opened slightly, recognizing her daughter, and she gave a faint smile. The little girl, now holding Mr. Daniels' hand, whispered, Thank you so much." People nearby exchanged glances, their admiration growing. They realized that Mr. Daniels' calm demeanor and expert intervention had likely saved a life, and it was a powerful reminder that heroism often comes from unexpected places. Within minutes, CEO Robert Harrington arrived, his suit jacket flapping as he rushed through the lobby. His face was pale, filled with panic, and his eyes darted between his daughter and the paramedics. He froze when he saw Mr. Daniels, kneeling calmly beside his wife, giving instructions with authority and composure. You saved my wife and my daughter." "How?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Daniels simply shrugged, a modest smile on his face. "I had some training before this job. Never thought I'd need it here," he said, brushing it off as if it were nothing extraordinary. Over the following days, the office slowly returned to normal, but the story of Mr. Daniels spread like wildfire. Colleagues who had overlooked him for years now looked at him with deep respect. People learned that he was a retired military medic and crisis response expert who had quietly chosen a humble life over recognition. His extraordinary skills, hidden behind the guise of a janitor, had saved lives that day. The little girl, hugging him tightly, called him her hero, and in that moment, everyone realized that true courage and compassion often come from the most unexpected places, hidden in plain sight but capable of changing lives forever. The days after the attack were tense at Harrington Enterprises. Lydia Harrington was recovering in the hospital, her injuries serious but not life-threatening, thanks to the quick actions of Mr. Daniels. Robert Harrington, usually composed and authoritative, was now visibly shaken, walking the halls with a sense of vulnerability he rarely displayed. Employees whispered about the incident, sharing details they had witnessed and the extraordinary calm of the janitor who had saved the CEO's family. Everyone wondered how someone so unassuming could possess such life-saving skill, and curiosity about Mr. Daniels' past began to grow throughout the office. Despite the attention, Mr. Daniels remained humble, continuing his work quietly without seeking recognition. He greeted colleagues politely but never discussed the events in detail, even as Robert Harrington tried to learn more about him. The CEO, impressed and grateful beyond words, insisted that Mr. Daniels meet with him privately. Sitting across from the janitor in his corner office, Robert offered him a promotion and a substantial reward, but Mr. Daniels politely declined. "I do what I can," he said. "I've had my time in the spotlight. This is just my way of helping." His humility struck Robert deeply, showing that true heroism didn't require acknowledgement or accolades. Meanwhile, the little girl, Emily Harrington, became inseparable from Mr. Daniels whenever she visited the office. She would follow him around, holding his hand and asking countless questions about how he helped her mom. "You're amazing," she said one afternoon, tugging gently at his sleeve. "How did you know what to do?" Mr. Daniels smiled gently, ruffling her hair. "Experience, sweetie, and keeping calm when things get hard." Emily's admiration was pure and unwavering, and it was clear that she saw him as more than just a janitor. He was her guardian, her hero, and someone she trusted implicitly. Word of Mr. Daniels' past eventually emerged, and it fascinated everyone. He had been a highly trained military medic, part of a specialized crisis response unit, with years of experience in dangerous and life-threatening situations. Choosing to live quietly as a janitor in a corporate office was a conscious decision to embrace a humble, low-profile life. Yet when the crisis came, those hidden skills shone through, saving lives and proving that ordinary appearances can hide extraordinary capability. His story became an inspiration to many, demonstrating the power of preparation, composure, and courage in moments of extreme stress. By the end of the week, Lydia had returned home, still recovering but grateful to be alive. Robert Harrington made a formal announcement to the staff, praising Mr. Daniels publicly and ensuring that he received recognition while respecting his humility. The office atmosphere shifted subtly. Colleagues who had overlooked him before now treated him with respect, kindness, and curiosity. Emily, ever loyal, continued to shadow him, while Mr. Daniels quietly resumed his work. Through this experience, everyone at Harrington Enterprises learned a powerful lesson. Heroism can come from unexpected places, courage can wear the guise of simplicity, and the impact of selfless action resonates far beyond the moment it occurs.